So last week, you guys, we talked about this idea of changing the mantra, right? The mantra is no longer I'm charging the storm or charge the storm. It is I am the storm, right? And one thing that I had mentioned is we were having to dust off the playbook of fundamentals, right? Because markets, when they're good, create this effect. It's called the shadow effect, where it shadows all of the things that you're ignoring, that the market is so good. It's hiding all the things that you're ultimately missing or aren't doing it at a high level. And so what happens is when the market switches to where it is today, and I got to be honest, this is my 17th year in real estate, and this is the most unpredictable environment I've ever seen. It's so weird hearing all the different stories, and yet the fundamentals are still going to ring true. And so obviously last week, I spent a lot of time talking to you about what magnificent follow-up looks like, and how to create a calendar-driven system to stay in front of the people that may not be looking to do something right away. Because I think that the majority of the leads that we end up generating and then losing are happening in that cultivation phase. All things, by the way, on Earth go through a three-part series. It's plant, cultivate, harvest. So when you think about the planting piece, right, somebody reaches out, registers on a site, whatever, that's them being planted. And where we screw it up is the cultivation. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, or you're really looking at taking your game to the next level in this market, go back in the Facebook group and watch last week, download the diagrams, the things that we ultimately talked about, because I can't think of a single person that I've ever coached that nailed follow-up and then failed ultimately. It's like the one thing that nobody wants to do. And I was sitting in yoga yesterday, and I get some of the best ideas as I'm suffering through hot yoga. But the thing that came to me, it was a question. And the question was, what are the healthy things that I hate? What are the healthy things that I hate? So for example, I hate salad. I hate salad. And yet, do you ever notice how, regardless of all the different like information and contradictory health information that we get, that no one ever seems to like have a beef with salad? That most people are like, look, salad is like the holy grail. You can eat that. It's good, right? And yet I hate salad. But the same thing applies in our businesses. The same thing applies in our relationships. What are you avoiding? What is it that you hate, but it ultimately is healthy for you? Because the quicker you can make peace with that, the easier your life ultimately becomes. And Josh, I don't know if running is all that healthy. So I don't know about that one, because I'm kind of with you on that. So anyway, that's not going to be the topic of today, but I do encourage all of you, if you weren't here last week, go back and watch last week's, because it was really, really important. Today, I'm going to talk to you about becoming a person of influence using scripts and dialogues. Now, if you're one of those people that say, I don't like scripts and dialogues, whatever, that's fine. I can promise you that if I took one person who makes peace with scripts and dialogues and matched them up with you, and in 12 months, we side by side compared two things: how much time they're spending in the business and how much money they're making, they would kick your ass on both fronts. So get over it. It's like, I don't like to run plays on the football field. I just want to go out there and freelance. That's great. And yet the defense is going to destroy you. So make peace with scripts and dialogues. But here's the thing about scripts and dialogues is I think it really boils down to three things. And we're going to talk about the first one today. So questions, objections, and offers. Questions, objections, and offers. And when we talk about questions, right, whoever is asking the question is controlling the conversation. And one of the things I think that gets lost on us, and I know that I definitely got lost on this for a long time, is that we memorize scripts. And then when somebody says something, we take that as an opportunity to just throw up this magnificent script that we have, instead of monologuing, we want to dialogue. And in order to dialogue, you've got to get really good at asking questions and then listening for the answer, right? And so I started thinking about this, and it took me back to an exercise that we had to do as coaches. And this was one of the most powerful exercises that Diana Kokoska ever had us do. So I don't know if they still have this model in bold, but it was one of the ones that I found to be the most important. It was called the sales cycle. So if you're not familiar with this, go ahead and draw like a big plus sign, right? So you have 4 quadrants. And in the top left, I want you to put positive present, positive present. In the bottom left, I want you to put negative present. Bottom right, negative future. And then top right is positive future. So if somebody isn't making a move, right, like they're not moving to their next home, it's because the pain isn't great enough. They're hanging out in the positive present. And so what she would have us do is write 5 questions to move someone from the quadrant they're in to the quadrant we want them to go. Now, some people look at this, you guys, like it's a clock, like you have to go from the top left, positive present, to negative future. You don't have to do that. It doesn't have to happen sequentially. You can bounce back and forth. But she used to have us write 5 questions for moving somebody from the positive present to the negative present, somebody from the positive present to the negative future. And this was such a good exercise in influence. So let me give you an example. Let's say that I'm talking to you on the phone, right? And you're saying to me, yeah, well, we were thinking about buying, but the interest rates are a little bit high. I completely understand that. They are high, not historically, but compared to what we were used to. And yet I'm curious, what is it about your current living arrangement that you want to be doing and you can't? How does your current living arrangement hold you back? See, what I'm doing is I'm trying to take them out of the positive present and put them into the negative present. Do you guys see that? And so it seems a little counterintuitive to put people in pain. And yet, as it relates to getting people to take action, for most people are more wired to move away from pain than they are into pleasure. Now, there are other people that maybe they're saying, you know, we've always wanted to build that dream house. I just don't know if that's the time. Cool. Can you walk me through what it would feel like standing inside of your dream house? Like, what does that picture look like? What would you be doing? So now I'm taking them from the positive present to the positive future. You guys get that? So here's the exercise is, and Rainmakers, I really want you guys to do this with your teams, is draw out the quadrants, right? And then just practice moving from each quadrant and writing 3 to 5 questions for each one. You guys, if you want to become a person of influence, questions are the mightiest tool that you ultimately have. And the way that you get good at them is engineering them, writing them, and then practicing them. Now, above all, right now, the most important questions, even if you just took that whole exercise and threw it out the window, the 6 connecting questions on page 95 and shift. Those are questions, whether you're a listing agent, you are a buyer's agent, you work both sides of the business, you need to get really, really good at asking and getting those questions answered and digging in on those questions, because it will help you identify the real clients, the people who are actually going to do something versus the tire kickers. I had a coaching client the other day who's fairly new to me, said, yeah, we've been showing this buyer for a year. And I was like, that's not a buyer. That's not a buyer. That's somebody who likes to shop, and you need to fire that person. And if we spent, I think I used to go to church all the time, and there was this one preacher that I really liked, and he had this saying, and it was, you can prepare or you can repair. And he said, it's a hell of a lot harder to repair than it is to prepare. See, mastering the questions, specifically the 6 connecting questions, that's what helps you prepare the relationship so that you don't end up spending a tremendous amount of time showing people that just aren't going to do anything. So this week, let's make you a person of influence. Let's get really clear that being a person of influence first starts with asking great questions. And the exercise that I would give you is drawing out that sales cycle and then just start practicing the questions that move people around it. Another thing, you guys, just real quick, and then I'll end this, is when you're talking to somebody, having that sales cycle next to you and then putting your finger on, where are they? Are they in the positive present? Are they in the negative present? Where are they? Right. And so that will start to tell you where you can start to move them. So try that out this week. I'm interested to hear what you all ultimately end up with. And if you have questions about it, post it in the Facebook group or hit me up. Thank you all for being here. There will be no Monday Morning Mojo next week. So I will see you all in 2 weeks. Make it a great week. Bye-bye.